Neelu, I can tell you, BJP is highly beatable, extremely vulnerable when it faces an opponent who's as hungry as they are. I mean, look at the regional players. They don't have as much resources or as many leaders to campaign as the Congress has. I would like a culture in the Congress party where if you fail, you just resign, period. Give somebody else a chance. Simple. Now, here is the problem. The Congress earlier was very Delhi centric, and I think Rahul Gandhi took that criticism in his stride and said, yes, we are taking too many decisions in Delhi. Then they said, okay, we will let the state leaderships take the call. Now that has gone to the other side of the pendulum. You are now saying whatever Mr. Huda does is right, whatever Mr.
Yes.
Kamarnath does, he's right. I did not like the line that BJP jayegi, Congress aayegi. I think the line should have been BJP jayegi, Janta jeetegi. Mr. Modi has learnt a lesson in June. 400 par is brought down to 240. Can you imagine how much this election meant to the BJP? Then Narendra Modi gave a speech to his people in the evening claiming as if the Haryana means that all the mess ups they have done after June is okay. It's not. Congress has to recognize that to beat the BJP in a one-to-one contest, you have more leaders than the other regional parties have. You have now a pretty strong brand of Rahul Gandhi on your side. You definitely have more financial resources. You have great political experience. I think what the Congress lacks is its ability to, one, get its flock together. This could be a blessing in disguise for the Congress. Because I would rather the Congress loses Haryana and wins Maharashtra with an alliance. And luckily, there's an alliance in Maharashtra, which means the Congress won't be allowed to do a kamikaze mission on its own because Mr. Uddhav Thackeray and Mr. Sharad Pawar are there to keep the balance right. If any political party complains to the Election Commission, the Election Commission's job is to look at these complaints and investigate them thoroughly, scientifically, and not just kind of dismiss it because Haryana is done and dusted. I don't think it works that way. I think this country into a dark decade, but hats off to them for still pulling a rabbit out of a hat and out of nowhere winning an election. And therefore, I'm going to end by telling you the Congress should learn and treat this as a blessing in disguise.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, Truth Be Told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Post Haryana election results, everybody is wondering as to why the Haryana election was completely the opposite of what everyone expected. What went horribly wrong with Congress and what went right for the BJP, despite a groundswell of sentiment which was against the party. Now, today, Mallikarjun Kharge had called in a review meeting on Haryana elections, and Mr. Ajay Makan, Mr. Ashok Gehlot, Mr. Deepak Babaria, they were all there, and they said that it's not possible to discuss all the points in about 2 or 1.5 hours of meeting. But the big question is that the people who are suspecting that this election has been hacked, this election was rigged, what would you do to these allegations? And will those allegations be addressed? What is the larger message from the Haryana elections? Because coming as it does, just on the eve of Maharashtra elections, when the dates are just about to be announced for Maharashtra as well as Jharkhand. So what are the big takeaways from the Haryana election for the India Alliance as well as BJP? Joining me now is political commentator and author Sanjay Jha, who's been the former spokesperson of the Congress. Thank you so much, Sanjay. It's wonderful to have you on Truth Be Told. And I'm sure we'll talk what is only true today. So my first question...
Thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure always, Sanjay. And my first question, of course, is the big takeaway, according to you, from the Haryana election. And what is your feeling after the results which you've seen? I mean, what is your instant reaction to this kind of a result?
Neelu, clearly a stunning verdict. especially in the light of the fact that not just the Congress party, but I think every analyst, forget the exit posters, etc., but practically everyone that I knew and talked to and read about, all of them predicted not just a Congress win, but a Congress hurricane sweep. In fact, Yogendra Yadav called it a virtual tsunami, which was going to come in favor of the Congress. Why did everybody go wrong? I think there could be two reasons behind that. Number one, the Congress's vote share from the last assembly election to this election has gone up from 28% to nearly 39%. That's a very significant 40% jump between the last election to this election. Clearly, that meant that the crowds were looking bigger in number and possibly were more enthused. Now, that can create an imagery, a correct imagery, that you are pretty much ahead in the race. However, we are in a first past the post system, whereby even if the BJP and the Congress have got the same vote percentage, roughly the same 39 odd percent, the seats differ by whatever, 11 seats, etc. Now, the message from the Haryana election is that I think all elections from here on between the BJP and the Congress is going to be a tricky one for the Congress, because the BJP is always better in the last mile finish. Their ability to manage get the voter to come and vote for in support of the party, I think remains their big strength. And the Congress is in a catch-up mode. Probably the complacency that's set in about the issues of the farmers, what we call as the Jawan, Kisan, Pehelwan and Samvidhan story. I think the Congress party assumed that yes, there is a general disaffection with the BJP, but was it enough for the party to believe that it was going to ride home? Again, you look at one other data point, Neelu, very carefully. In the Lok Sabha elections, the Congress was leading in 46 assembly constituencies out of the 90. So there was obviously belief that if in the Lok Sabha we could do it better despite Modi, then in a local election that number should go up. But I think elections are no longer about some kind of, I would say, an arithmetical forecast based on trends. It's about how you fight in every constituency, looking at the dynamics of that constituency itself. To give you an example, even if the Samajwadi Party or the Aam Aadmi Party has only had a 1% vote share, if you look at many of the seats, the Congress has lost by a margin which has been earned by the AAP candidate or the Samajwadi candidate. Now, I feel that the Congress should realize from its experience of Chhattisgarh and Madhya Pradesh, where again it was the same story, Neelu, expected to win with a handsome windfall, and you're getting a rude surprise. So my worry is that the complacency and the arrogance of the Congress into believing this was a done and dusted deal, the BJP acknowledged it by changing the chief minister. The issues there were no dearth of serious issues against the government. But I think end of day, the Congress's inability to manage its rebels, more importantly, to understand that every vote is going to count. I think that is the big lesson of this election. Number one, and this is critical, that you can't assume that the numbers that are coming up for you will convert to crowds unless you are able to take them right down to the last mile where BJP scores. And secondly, if you take your foot off the accelerator even for a momentary second, the other side is going to take advantage of it. And my last point, the BJP, remember, is not good in governance. But what the BJP does in the last 3 months or 6 months of any election is that it fights on a particular template, how they're going to campaign, how much money will go XYZ places, who's going to campaign where is Modi going to, make his speeches. I think their ability to create a very solid standard operating procedure is not being matched by the Congress. So you're seeing this happen very often. Too many issues, anti-incumbency is high, but the BJP happens to win in the end. And that's all because the BJP, what it doesn't do in 4.5 years, it does well in the last 6 months. And that's the lesson that the Congress needs to learn.
Right. You rightly put it, but the big question now is, which makes me question you on that is it possible for Congress to win any election from here on, given the fact that they had all the public sentiment by their side? There was no dearth of issues. They were planning all the eggs were in Huda's basket, and Huda was driving the election, and there wasn't anybody more powerful than Bhupinder Huda as a Congress leader. Now, what is the hope left for Congress, and also the hope for the India alliance as such? Because people are saying that, if this election at all has been manipulated, if, and I'm using the word if in quotes, that if it has been manipulated, then is it really possible to organizationally win any election against BJP? Are we to assume that, it's just not possible because BJP will try or pull out any trick under its hat, and then they will win the election? And all the strategies of the Congress, or for that matter, any party in the India Alliance, might just completely fail. So, what would you say
No,
to Sanjay?
Neelu, I can tell you BJP is highly beatable, extremely vulnerable when it faces an opponent who's as hungry as they are. I mean, look at the regional players. They don't have as much resources or as many leaders to campaign as the Congress has. But look at Mamata Banerjee, what she did to the BJP in West Bengal. Look at what Akhilesh did to the BJP in Uttar Pradesh. Look at how well, particularly I think Tejasvi and the Lalu's RJD does in Bihar. I think the Congress has to recognize that to beat the BJP in a one-to-one contest, you have more leaders than the other regional parties have. You have now a pretty strong brand of Rahul Gandhi on your side. You definitely have more financial resources. You have great political experience. I think what the Congress lacks is its ability to, one, get its flock together, and number two, work relentlessly on the ground and stop assuming that the BJP is going to give it to you because you have the habit of giving it to the BJP. The BJP does not reciprocate that sentiment. And I think that's something that the Congress can learn from the BJP. I'm going to tell you this, Neelu. The BJP has a party after winning an election for 4.5 years. Their governance track record is wretched. They are corrupt. They are hardly able to put up anything great in terms of performance. Why do they win? Because in the last 6 months, you follow the BJP template. They will announce a lot of schemes. Modi will come and campaign a little more than often. You'll find they'll spend money very liberally. They have more funds. Then they will poach candidates. That is the Amit Shah model. Then they will do what they call a social engineering, which is basically strike alliances with any Tom, Dick or Harry as long as they adds even a few votes to the BJP, right? And then it manages its booth. Why should the Congress be unable to do all that I have said? It's not rocket science. It's basically that the Congress begins to believe that the anti-incumbency will create a natural defeat for the BJP. It doesn't happen that way. I think where politics has changed, Neelu, is that the voter has become equally sharper, right? So if they're unhappy with the BJP for the last 4.5 years, suddenly they see the BJP coming to them with hands folded and saying, please take this scheme. I will give you more money. And, end of day, this is what I made a mistake. I'm going to change the candidate or the MLA candidate. They begin to believe, hang on, I'm ending it rather well. And a known evil is better than an unknown evil. So people are not willing to change. Now, I'll give you one example. In the Haryana elections, all analysts have talked about this Jat vote and why the non-Jat vote consolidation has gone against the Congress. But take a deep breath. Isn't the Dalit vote percentage very big in Haryana? It's over 20%. In fact, the OBC votes are bigger than even the Jat votes. So, and hasn't the Congress won with the Jat chief minister, and hasn't Mr. Devilal been and the other Bhajan Lals and all been there even before Mr. Huda? So when you have to fight an election, you have to carry the OBC, you got to carry the Jats, you got to carry the Dalits, you got to carry everybody. So the Congress's inability, for example, I believe the one mistake they made was to not allow Kumari Selja to fight the election. I mean, it's ridiculous that such a senior leader who wanted to fight the election was not allowed to do so. And with due respects to Mr. Huda, you see, I would have liked it if the Congress had made Dipender the face of the election as opposed to Mr. Bhupinder Singh Huda. You see, Mr. Huda is now 77 and he's a veteran and he's done well. I'm not going to deny that. That I felt that Dipender, and I know Dipender personally, is a bright guy. He's a smart guy. I think if Dipender had been the face, probably he would have struck a deal with Kumari Selja and allowed her to contest an election and probably given her more visibility. The Congress during the campaign should have talked about, okay, not just one, but it will be a team of people who will head the party in the event that they win. the worst mistake that the Congress made.
Sanjay, if this kind of a deal, what you're saying, that, Dipinder would have been given the reins, he would have controlled the things. But why couldn't the high command of Congress understand this? The point is that, the differences and the disparities between Bhupinder Huda and Kumari Shelja have been like, I don't know, since the time I've been doing political reporting, since that time we've been reporting this, that there are differences between Huda and Shelja camp. But the point is that the Congress High Command is completely unable to stem this problem. Now, what is the reason? Wouldn't the High Command of Congress be equally culpable for what has happened today?
Absolutely. Look at the Congress High Command's track record. Punjab, a complete suicide mission. They gave it away to the Aam Aadmi Party on a platter. Rajasthan, if they had brought in Sachin Pilot even 6 months earlier, although Sachin was asking for 2 years, the Congress would have probably won the assembly election. Well, eventually, despite all the problems, it got 80 odd seats. Look at Madhya Pradesh.
Sanjay, what I want to speak to you, because you've been in Congress, you know the party very closely. The kind of screening committees which are formed, post any election disaster, they are also a kind of a facade. You will have the same members, as part of the screening committee for Chhattisgarh, same for Haryana. Now, how do you think that screening committee will at all do justice? And whenever these people are appointed as part of the screening committee, isn't enough homework being done by the people who appoint them as part of the screening committee, that whether at all they'll do justice to it or not? What is the point of having such screening committees when at the end of the day, you cannot have a positive result for the party?
It's a farce. I'll tell you something, Neelu. I would like a culture in the Congress party where if you fail, you just resign, period. Give somebody else a chance. Simple. And if the party wants to keep you, that's a different story. But you should resign on the spot, taking full responsibility for it. See, the problem with the Congress is that nobody is willing to bite the bullet and say, okay, I messed up. Now, I'll tell you the problem with the Congress High Command. I was giving you the example of even Kamal Nath in Madhya Pradesh. Kamal Nath was extremely bullish on winning, right? Now, here is the problem. The Congress earlier was very Delhi-centric, and I think Rahul Gandhi took that criticism in his stride and said, yes, we are taking too many decisions in Delhi. Then they said, okay, we will let the state leaderships take the call. Now, that has gone to the other side of the pendulum. You are now saying whatever Mr. Huda does is right, whatever Mr. Kamal Nath does, he's right. It doesn't work that way. It's always a combination. Can you imagine the BJP changes a chief minister after 9.5 years and gets more numbers? Can you imagine that? It acknowledged it hadn't done well. I can tell you that I have friends in Haryana who said, you guys should be willing to, open your champagne bottles or whatever, because you're going to win. Obviously the Congress was starting with the laddu and jalebi and all that. Nothing wrong. But for God's sake, don't get carried away anymore. I'm telling you this, I thought that was such bad optics when even the voting is not even concluded. And the debate in the Congress was, is it going to be Mr. Huda? Is it going to be Kumari Shelja? Is it going to be 4 chief ministers? Is Randeep Surjewala going to get a shot? Everyone is making a statement. Now, I can understand that there is political ambition. I understand that many people say that I'm in a chief ministerial race because it increases the stake of negotiation for something else in the Congress party. You're just basically posturing. Right. But remember that if you carry it too far, the people begin to believe that is this party so cocky that even before I have voted, they have taken it for granted that my vote is coming to them. I think these are messages that are very unhealthy in politics. I did not like the line that BJP jayegi, Congress aayegi. I think the line should have been BJP jayegi, Janta jeetegi. You don't talk like Congress aayegi. I mean, take a deep breath, take a chill pill, as we call it. If you sound arrogant, Mr. Modi's learnt a lesson in June. 400 par is brought down to 240. Can you imagine how much this election meant to the BJP? Then Narendra Modi gave a speech to his people in the evening claiming as if the Haryana means that all the mess-ups they have done after June is okay. It's not. Yes. And therefore, I'm looking, I'm an eternal optimist, Neelu, you know me. I'm telling myself just one thing. I wrote an article in the Indian Express. I'm going to post something else tomorrow or day after. This could be a blessing in disguise for the Congress. because I would rather the Congress loses Haryana and wins Maharashtra with an alliance. And luckily, there's an alliance in Maharashtra, which means the Congress won't be allowed to do a kamikaze mission on its own because Mr. Uddhav Thackeray and Mr. Sharad Pawar are there to keep the balance right. I'm only worried that the Congress, if thank God for Haryana, the Congress will wake up and smell the coffee, which is exactly what I'm having right now as I talk to you.
No, Sanjay, I think no one can dismiss the points which you have made. But the point is that, it was this hubris which had set in within the Congress. Maybe they were overconfident that, okay, Rahul Gandhi has set the narrative of the country. And it's a similar kind of a confidence which we saw in Prime Minister Modi, where he said, Char Sau Par. And the similar Char Sau Par sentiment had set in Congress. They thought that we will win 75 plus seats in Haryana and no two ways about it. And that is exactly where they went wrong. The overconfidence has swallowed Congress in Haryana badly.
Yep. I'll tell you something here. Rahul Gandhi is setting the agenda. The Congress is beginning to really take charge of the narrative. Full credit to them. Let's not take that away. If you look at the digital media campaign, social media, the Congress looks to be really batting on a front foot. The problem is you got to recognize if you're setting the narrative and you're creating this hype and hoopla that you're ahead, please keep one thing in mind that your opposition is probably working hard, therefore even harder to stem the rot. You see, for example, if the BJP was hearing every day that they're going to get wiped out, if the BJP was hearing it every day that things are going to crumble for them, I'm sure Dharmesh Pradhan and his team told themselves, hey, let's give a fight and win as much as we can. In the process, they won the election. Now, I think the message for the Congress is setting the narrative is one aspect of winning an election. The more critical aspect, or shall we say at least an equal aspect, is converting that narrative into an advantage finally when the votes are being counted. The Congress's biggest weakness is that it is not able to do that last mile well as the BJP does. You see it in all elections. You go to a booth to vote. Outside there will be more BJP people than Congress people. Before an election, the BJP will come to your door and say, this is your voter's slip. I mean, why cannot the Congress correct that over years? It's not a mystery. Neither is it an aeronautical engineering design to take us to Mars. Why the Congress is not able to do it is beyond me. And may I point out another thing that the Congress should stop doing? Stop believing internal survey polls. They can be extremely misleading. If you really want to do polls, hire an independent agency, pay them the money, and tell them, I want to hear the bad news if there is. Link their performance to some. If the results are good, I'll pay you more. But please do not live in this land of hallucinations, because you will end up having egg on your face. Choose whether it's fried or an omelette. You will have that on the election day. So I'm telling myself, Neelu, that the defeat in Haryana could be great news for the Congress and the India Alliance, because hopefully they will not make the same mistakes in Maharashtra. And I'm going to tell you what they should do in Maharashtra is to make Uddhav Thackeray the chief ministerial face of the MVA. Instead of behaving, we are Congress, we got 13 Lok Sabha seats, our hit rate was excellent. Yes, it was. But you don't have any leader in the state today who matches Uddhav at all in terms of popularity or in terms of credibility. So these are decisions that if the Congress party does it, the MVA does it, Maharashtra is as promising as it was before, and we can have a new story in the next month.
You said that it's a great, sign of relief in a way, and it's a sign of, joy that in a way Congress has lost Haryana. But what does it mean for BJP now? Because we have a more emboldened Prime Minister Modi, we have a more emboldened BJP, and to what extent can they, carry out their agenda of fascism, then their agenda of Hindutva? To what level can now they go? And how will really the India Alliance counter them on this bit?
Well, Neelu, let me tell you, the Congress has once again given BJP a lifeline. The BJP was down and out. If they had also lost Haryana along with Jammu and Kashmir, you can imagine what the narrative would have been. that will this government survive if they lose Jharkhand and Maharashtra? Okay. Now, what has happened? Narendra Modi got media space. He bought it. He straight away made a speech. He blamed the Congress. He brought in all the issues of reservation, etc., which were like, we all know it's fabricated, but they made their political statement. But that's what the contest is all about, right? Even the Congress would do the same thing. So here is the point, that if you give your opposition an opportunity to put their foot in the door, they're going to elbow you out and walk right in and occupy the sofa and probably throw you out of the door. So the Congress has now created a needless, motivated competitor in the BJP. I live in Mumbai. I know people across Maharashtra. And the general sentiment seems to be that the Mahayuti is on its way out. People are unhappy and everybody's excited about Uddhav leading the MVA to victory. Which is why I'm saying that I wish the Congress had won Haryana and allowed that positive body language and confidence to come into Maharashtra. The reason why I say that I'm okay with Congress losing Haryana, because I would have not liked it if we won Haryana and blew Maharashtra, because we all know this is the second largest state and probably will send a signal, being the central part of India, as to what the mood could be. Now,
No, but
Narendra Modi,
if you
now
remember,
if you look at it, Narendra Modi has increased the stakes for Maharashtra. By saying that Haryana is the mood of the country, he's actually
yes,
increased the stakes for Maharashtra, right? So
you're
if
saying
tomorrow the MBA wins Maharashtra,
no,
they
but
can,
Sanjay, no, Sanjay, did you hear Devendra Fadnavis making a statement right after the election results when it became clear that BJP is winning? And he said that just like we have won Haryana, we'll win Maharashtra.
well, that's a rhetoric. I mean, he's bound to say that. But the truth, Neelu, is that Maharashtra is a very different ball game from Haryana. I don't think the voter here cares a dime as to what happens in any other part of the state. This is not a national election. Okay. Number two, Jharkhand. I know Jharkhand because that's part of my erstwhile Bihar. In Jharkhand, people don't bother what's happening in Maharashtra with Adani, Ambani, and business going away to Gujarat. So I think the dynamics are very different state to state, which is why I'm saying that the Congress needs to understand from this calamity, make it into an opportunity. Fix your problem areas quickly. Work on your sweet spots. And if the MPA does that, I can tell you the mood is to vote out Eknath Shinde's government. So the advantage remains with the MPA. But here is the point. The BJP, as you rightly said, will feel, hang on, if we were written off there and we are written off here, we could win there, we can win here as well. It's common sense, right? So I think basically what have you done? Your opposition was at the moment of time sitting at home and sulking. And now what you have told them is if you step out and start campaigning, who knows, you could possibly change the entire narrative. So you have given them, as they say, a lease of a future existence. And now it is up to you to cancel that contract.
Right. Sanjay, now last two questions on the allegations that, the Haryana has been hacked, the election was rigged, and the Pawan Khera and several other leaders in Congress went to the Election Commission. They've given a memorandum and they've said that there are a lot of discrepancies in many constituencies. Then they've talked about how certain EVM machines were 99% charged while some were 66% charged. Now, what would you say to these allegations? Because there are about 15 to 20 seats and the margins have been very, very narrow. So do you think that there can be a possibility of rigging the election? And if that is there, how does one deal with a situation like this?
Well, Neelu, here are 2 points. If any political party complains to the Election Commission, whether it was Jairam complaining about a slow declaration of the result, or the batteries charged on EVMs, or even a very outright allegation of, say, a fabrication or some kind of, let's say, a rigging. The Election Commission's job is to look at these complaints and investigate them thoroughly, scientifically, and not just kind of dismiss it because, Haryana is done and dusted. I don't think it works that way. Political parties have a right and they have a democratic exercise of their whatever apprehensions that they can possibly enforce. So nothing wrong if the opposition, or in this case, the Congress, has complained. Having said that, I want to make one point. The Congress has to realize, and I remember being part of that AICC in 2018, I think, when we said that we believe that the ballot paper must replace the EVM or they should both happen concurrently. My question to the Congress party is, instead of sporadically waking up and doing these complaints, why doesn't the entire India alliance actually go ahead and tell the election commission that we will not fight the next election if the ballot paper is not introduced simultaneously? Now, you have heard the Supreme Court verdict, right? Now, the Supreme Court verdict was, frankly speaking, disappointing. It literally ignored the opposition's views and said, no, everything is hunky dory with the EVM. The fact remains that at the moment, that's where everybody is stuck. But I feel that you need to engage this with the people directly. Forget the Supreme Court, forget the Election Commission. Institutions are institutions. They take their call based on whatever facts they have before them. I'm not going to cast aspersions on why they do what they do. The Election Commission, of course, is a different kettle of fish. But I do feel that you need to take the issue of the EVM to the people of India. Because I have a view on the EVM, which is that supposing Neelu Vyas and Sanjay Jha are two voters from the constituency, and if you have voted BJP and I have voted Congress, and your vote has not been counted, or my vote has suddenly vanished from the machine, even if it's one vote, that means the democratic exercise has been a failure. In a democracy, you don't have a margin of error on votes. There's not an exit poll, these are actual votes. So if there is any fear that a system can be hacked, and we all know that today the Pentagon has been hacked, the Democratic National Convention has been hacked, the party has been hacked, you have had the Supreme Court has been hacked. For God's sake, wherever you have technology, you will remain vulnerable to all kinds of cybersecurity threats. And you live in a world of artificial intelligence where these things can accelerate even further. So I feel that we are still concerned about the integrity of an election. I do believe that the Haryana election, if there are problems, let them get investigated. But the Congress cannot wake up to the party late on every occasion. And I want to point out, on Jammu and Kashmir, I was astonished that Priyanka Gandhi and the Rahul Gandhis were not there 10 times. I mean, this is an election, right? You got to be fighting there. I believe in Maharashtra. Why doesn't the Congress just shift its headquarters to Mumbai for 1 month? Why would you fly from Delhi to Mumbai? Tell me one thing, Neelu. What can be more important for Rahul or Priyanka or Mr. Kharge or any other leader for the 1 month when the election campaign is on? Why can't you just live out, do things differently? You see, I'm a big believer, Neelu, that you got to be creative. You got to be innovative. You got to be a risk taker. You can't say, यार अभी मैं 1 महीने बॉम्बे में बैठ गया और फिर यदि मान लीजिए कि चुनाव हार गए तो लोग कहेंगे यार बॉम्बे में बैठा फिर भी नहीं हुआ. मैं आपको दूसरा प्रश्न पूछना चाहूंगा. आप मुंबई में बैठिए और हो सकता है आपको 200 सीटें आ जाएं क्योंकि लोगों को लगेगा कि कम से कम आप हमारे राज्य के नागरिक ही बन गए. आप में वो जज्बा है, आप में वो जज्बात है, आप लड़ने के लिए तैयार हैं, आप में एक आक्रामक रुख है, एक रवैया है. तो जब तक आप ये जो कहते हैं ना जीतने का भूख आपके सर पर एक तरीके से एक पूरे तरीके से आपको पागल नहीं करता है, आप चुनाव नहीं जीत पाएंगे आप.
And don't you think that this is where the biggest difference between BJP and Congress is that the power, the hunger to win elections is lacking in Congress?
Even now, I'm telling you, a lot of people in the Congress have become very lazy and complacent because they think that we have stopped the BJP now in the Lok Sabha and the party will collapse through its internal contradictions with TDP and with JDU. It may not happen, we don't know. But the truth is that the Congress party has to tell itself that every election is like starting from point zero. And you've got to win every election and play it, fight it with a ruthless, uncompromising, inexorable determination to win. The BJP has that in its character. It's been in opposition for so long, it's not willing to give it up in a hurry. Okay? The Congress is happy to, as I wrote in my article, to trend on Twitter. That's the difference.
But Sanjay, I want to ask you a very, very fundamental and a very significant question, because yesterday I was interviewing Mahmood Pracha on the same channel for the same
Right.
program, where he said that, Jairam Ramesh happens to be such a senior leader, but he has always misled Rahul Gandhi on important issues like EVMs. So what I want to ask you is that if Jairam Ramesh has been misleading Rahul Gandhi on important issues like EVM, now are there other senior leaders who are sitting in their ivory towers who don't want to come out from their comfort zones? Are they the ones who are misleading their own vested interest? And they are the ones who are not letting Rahul Gandhi or maybe Priyanka Gandhi or even Sonia Gandhi not take important decisions. Do you see
Well, I'll be
that?
honest. I'll
Yes,
be honest. Jairam is a dear friend, so I need to be very frank here with you. I don't think he will be irresponsible to kind of make statements simply to assuage Rahul Gandhi or Mr. Kharge and keep everybody in the dark. I don't think that's the case. I think the problem in the Congress is that key decisions are taken by a very few people. I'll give you one example. The Congress has a Congress Working Committee. Find out how many times have they met. Whenever you're taking big decisions, it should go through the Congress Working Committee. Instead of having some few people making a statement, I would like the Congress Working Committee to meet to take stock and to review, to hear people, to say, what did we do right in Jammu and Kashmir? Why didn't we win more seats in Jammu? Why weren't we able to take the India alliance there to 65 seats? The Congress really did not do well in Jammu at all. I mean, you ceded space is absolutely inexplicable. If you look at even Haryana, I mean, there are veteran leaders, including Dipender Hooda and Randeep, who are all bright guys, by the way. And what has the Congress done? It has given away after 10 years. Can you imagine Haryana is going to have 15 years of the BJP? It's absolutely unbelievable. In fact, in 2014, the BJP won for the first time. And you're giving them a cakewalk. I believe, Neelu, I come from that universe in the corporate world where you were told you're as good as your last deal. So if some politician wins one state, please cheer him on. Let him get 10 interviews. He loses the next, ask him to go. He wins the next, bring him back. Unless you're going to have accountability with consequences, the Congress culture of being चलिए बैठते हैं बिस्कुट खाते हैं चाय पी रहे हैं coffee आ रहा है, that doesn't work, man. The world has changed, and to that extent, I'm a critic of the BJP's ideology. I believe they have taken this country into a dark decade, but hats off to them for still pulling a rabbit out of a hat and out of nowhere winning an election. And therefore, I'm going to end by telling you the Congress should learn and treat this as a blessing in disguise. I would like Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi, and Mallikarjun Kharge to park themselves in Mumbai for one full month. Take all your executive decisions from here instead of sitting in a little bigger house in Delhi. Run the campaign from Mumbai. Go tell the people we are here. We are standing with you. Spend time with Mr. Thackeray. Go campaign with him. Knock the BJP off and set a new narrative.
Absolutely.
Do you have that ability, or are you going to do the traditional way? Mr. Gandhi will go on this day, then he will go after 5 days, then he will go after 10 days. For God's sake, you are the one who should be trying to be more aggressive because you are the challenger.
Right.
That's the difference between the BJP and the Congress. I hope Congress learns, though.
And I hope that the people in the Congress watch this interview and also listen to the suggestions which you have given. Thank you so much, Sanjay. It's always a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure. And please send the interview to them, because if I send it to some of them, they will say, here comes the exasperating gadfly all over again. Please send it to them and we'll see what happens.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you.
Stay ahead with our cutting-edge news app. Instantly access the latest shorts in just 1 minute and breaking news in just 50 words. Download now for a smarter, faster news experience.